Every person has a passion. Every one of us. Mine happens to be acting. I can still remember the day that I saw my sister on stage in Seussical when I was 7, and I turned to my mom and I said, I want to do that. I want to stand on that stage and I want to feel those lights on my face. I want to be transported into another person and make the audience feel something, tell them a story. Acting, storytelling, and now writing, those are my passions. And I've pursued them. I've been in 23 plays and musicals, and I've worked on stage for more than 10 years. And over that time, I have learned a lot of different lessons. One of the most difficult parts of theater, of course, is casting. So whenever I hear one of my non-theater friends singing, I always say, why don't you audition? We could always use another member. And their rejections are always the same. Oh, I have stage fright. Oh, I'm not confident enough. Oh, I don't know if I could do that. Well, let me tell you something. Standing here right now, I'm terrified. You don't think I'm not? You don't think Lizzie, right before Pride and Prejudice, was wringing her hands together, wondering when the curtain was open? You don't think the baker from Into the Woods was wondering where her parents were sitting? You don't think I, right before Legally Blonde, was wondering if I was going to make that jump or make that lift? But the thing is, we go out there and we do it every single time. Even if it feels like there are a million eyes watching you, like the whole world is watching you. It's like what Shakespeare said: all the world's a stage, and all men and women merely players. So if the whole world's a stage, only the people who get up and act despite their fear will be adorned in the spotlight, will have the millions of people clap for them. You see, it's not just about singing or dancing or acting, it's everything. A few years back, my family took a trip to Canada, and on the 4th of July, we were in Ontario, right by Niagara Falls, and they had this big sky wheel there, about 300 feet high. Now, I'm terrified of heights, and I really did not want to go on this sky wheel, okay? But I was younger then, so my parents decided, just get in line, and once we get to the front, you can step to the side and you'll be fine. You won't have to go on it. So we get to the front of the line, and we're about to step into the cabin, and I'm about to step to the side, and my dad pushes me off. Thanks. Now, we're going up to the top, and it's about 300 feet up, and I'm gripping the sides. I'm terrified, and we go down, and okay, yeah, okay. I'm starting to calm down, and then we stop right at the top. Of course we did, right? Midnight strikes. It's the 4th of July, right over Niagara Falls, and these fireworks light up the sky. The most beautiful array of greens and golds and reds I have ever seen, like pom poms and firecrackers. It was beautiful. And I said to myself, I was gonna miss it because I was afraid of getting on this Ferris wheel? No. No, I said to myself, I'm not gonna let fear stop me anymore. I'm not gonna let fear stop me from getting on this ride and seeing the fireworks. I wanna see the fireworks. So every time I've been faced with a fear, I've tried to say to myself, try to take a deep breath and say, no, try it anyways. Go forwards. See what happens. You see, we have these motivational words of going past fear all around us. We all know that this is something that we should do. I mean, one of the most famous quotes out there is FDR: the only thing to fear is fear itself. We all know this, but it's become even more pressing in my life and all the lives of my peers nowadays, this pushing against the tide of fear. Because the biggest decision that I've made in my life up to this point is where I'm going to go to college. Where am I going to be educated? But more specifically, what am I going to be educated on? This is a huge, huge thing. What's my passion? What do I want to learn? Acting? Well, I know that I don't want to go to school for acting. I don't want to pursue that. However, I love storytelling. I love writing. But to become an author, that's one of the hardest fields to go into. And yes, I'm afraid. But also, yes, I'm going to go do it. Because I say to myself, you have to try. You have to go forward. You can't let fear stop you. And I want that for every single one of my friends, every single person who's in my position right now. I know so many people out there who are saying, oh, I really like drawing cartoons, but I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I'm going to be happy. I don't know if I'm too afraid to go and try, or I'm going into this because, I'm kind of interested, but my parents said it would be good, but, I really like this instead. Well, why don't you try it? Why don't you go out and do it? I know for a fact that every single time I get on stage, even though I'm afraid, when I hear the crowds clapping and cheering, I know in my heart that I'm doing what I love and what's right and what's good for me. And I want that for every single person. I want them to go out and follow their passions, even though they might be afraid, and to face their fears head on and say, no, this is what I want to do with my life. It's a beautiful thing, really. So, these next few years of my life can be the most transformative, good, and bad. I can either decide to let go of that idea that I won't be happy, that I won't have a life, or I can stay still and have my feet turn to concrete. I'm not going to let my feet turn to stone. I don't want anyone's feet to turn to stone. There's so much out there in this world, and if we don't go exploring and taking risks and finding new paths and getting rid of fear, if we do that, we'll see something greater at the end. We'll see the lights of the stage shining in our face. We'll see the crowds cheering for us. We'll see the fireworks in the sky, and we'll know deep in our hearts we're doing what we love. So follow your passions. Take risks. Try new things. Never let fear stop you. And never fear the experience. Thank you.
And crime. You see, suicide and crime are the highest ranking things in this world when it comes to what people do when it comes to their economic struggles. You see, you may not know what it looks like in your community because it depends on where you live. But what you would think about is probably why. Why would people do things like this? You may think, come on, it can't really be that bad. Why would you do something so drastic just to get out of the problems that you have? Everyone has these problems, and not everyone does this. Why do you believe so? If you think about it, it's the desperation, it's their feelings in the moment. You see, it's not easy. Their feelings get so overwhelming that they believe that there's nothing else to do but to resort to drastic action. You see, when you are in desperate need of something, you would do anything to get out of that predicament. Say for example, you left your phone somewhere and you don't remember where you put it. You will ransack your house, look in your car, you will do anything to get your phone back because you don't want to buy another one. And that's a waste of money. So, it's in the same correlation. You see, suicide and crime, there people believe that it's the easiest thing to get out of their economic problems. You see, I was doing some research the other day. What I mean by the other day is like yesterday. Um, I have it here on this note card because there are pretty big numbers. It's actually disheartening to see what kind of world we live in. You see, the average monthly living expenses, this is monthly, for a single person, meaning that you live by yourself, in the US is about $3,189, meaning that is about $38,266 a year. So let's do a little bit of math. Sorry for those that did not like algebra. I don't like math at all, but I did this just for this talk. If you're working for minimum wage, which is $14 per hour now, you will have to work 57 hours a week, and that is just to get by. Some people aren't able to do that. People have families to take care of. People have other responsibilities in their lives than just work. It's a dog eat dog world out there. Everybody has their own dreams to chase. Everyone wants to reach that American dream. Oh, yes, I like this nice car. Let me get that. Oh, that's a pretty nice house. I'd like to live there at some point. No, we have homeless people all over the place. We have people just roaming the streets aimlessly. They have nowhere to go. You see, when I created this talk, one quote that I really liked, just like Lucas, Shakespeare. Shakespeare was a very informative writer. And in Romeo and Juliet, Act 5, Scene 3, it's a very touching area because Paris is stopping Romeo to go see Juliet. Now, Juliet's dead at this point, but and Romeo knows this, but he still wants to go see the love of his life. Now, Paris is saying, "No, please don't do this. It's unnecessary. Just take some time off." And Romeo says, "Tempt not a desperate man." Those words emanate everything necessary for me to build this talk. Tempt not a desperate man. When you tempt somebody who's desperate, you will get a far stronger reaction than you would ever expect. Like when you're looking for your phone. If someone says, "Oh, I found it," and you're like, "Okay, where is it?" But then they tell you, "No, I'm just kidding." Oh no. That's the wrong move. You don't like that at all. You might want to hurt them in some way. But you don't because you can control yourself. But others can't. You see, 40% of crimes in the US are related to economic. No, I mixed that up. I'm sorry. 70% of crimes in the US are related to economic reasons. And 40% of suicides are related to economic reasons. You see, economics plays a huge role in people's lives. The world runs on money. You need that to get by. But it's not easy to make it. So you can clearly see what the problem is. The problem is our social economic system. You see, as I said before, everyone wants to chase that American dream, but they don't have the same opportunities as others do. And when deprived of that opportunity, desperation emerges. They need to get what they want. They need to get what they need to live, but they're not able to do so. And in that desperate state, drastic decisions come into play. That's all that's left for them to do. So it's either they go rob a bank, kill themselves. It's just something drastic that they have to do just to get out of that situation. It's a sticky situation. They need to get out of it. So, the solution? If we give everyone the same opportunities as either those who have made it big in life or those who are in power, you will clearly see that suicide and crime rate related to economic hardship will drastically decrease. Thank you.
I've struggled with my mental health as long as I can remember, and along the along the journey I've learned mental health is alive. It is living within people. Even if you choose to ignore it and act as if it will go away, it will not. Out of 100, 8.9 adolescents attempt suicide. 4 to 5 suicide deaths have provided warning signs to the people around them, and 18.8% of high school students have considered attempting suicide. These thoughts and ideations are not talked about enough. Men are less likely to come forward and reach out when they feel help is needed. In 2020, the suicide rate among men was 4 times higher than females. Men are so often portrayed as strong, emotionless characters in media. Frank Sinatra, a man looked up to and idolized by many, struggled with bipolar disorder, but you'd never know. Kate Spade, Lady Gaga, incredibly successful people, all diagnosed with disorders. Mental illness is so often portrayed as something to fear or to even disregard, that people that have mental illnesses are crazy. I too have struggled with mental illness and have been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I ran for and earned captain of my high school swim and dive team after the hardest year I had been faced with, and after all I've pushed through, I'm here, speaking on a topic that I was so scared to ever be categorized in because of the stigmas placed around it. I'm not ashamed to admit that I have been hospitalized along my journey, and because of this, I'm able to stand here and share with you the phrase, be selfish for yourself. Take your time, take time for yourself, be there for others, but put yourself first. When help is being shown to you, don't be afraid of it, accept it. Having a mental illness does not make you any less of a person. Firsthand, I can tell you reaching out and feeling vulnerable is incredibly difficult, especially when a common response is, stay positive, you'll be fine, if it's not already completely brushed off. To anyone feeling as though they're unwanted, a burden, or unloved, you are strong, you are loved, and you are not alone. Mental health is health. Thank you.